My beloved child, hear this carefully, because this message is not random, and it is not gentle by accident. God and Archangel Michael are urging you right now to understand something powerful about the fire you feel inside. That anger you have been trying to suppress, explain away, or pray out of your system. It was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to move you. This is a divine interruption. Watch closely, because what you are about to hear can change the direction of your heart, your hands, and your destiny. There is a reason you feel restless when you see injustice. There is a reason your spirit tightens when you hear about hunger, loneliness, and suffering. Heaven is saying, this is not rage, this is assignment. Archangel Michael stands as a warrior not only against darkness, but as a commander who redirects holy fire into righteous action. He is near you now, urging you to stop turning that inner anger inward and instead release it outward, through service, compassion, and obedience. Many have been taught that anger is unholy. But listen, even Jesus was moved with righteous anger, and that anger did not lead him to hate people, it led him to heal them. The anger you feel is not against people, but against broken systems, forgotten souls, and silent suffering. God says, I allowed you to feel this so you would move where others remain comfortable. This is not about emotion. This is about alignment. Archangel Michael is showing a vision right now. Your hands serving meals, your feet walking into places others avoid, your presence sitting beside someone who has not been touched by kindness in years. And as you serve, something supernatural happens. Hearts are healed. Hope is restored. Chains break silently. Not just in others, but in you. This is how the fire is redeemed. You have asked God, why do I feel so much? He answers, because I trust you with much. The lowly, the hungry, the forgotten. They are not projects. They are portals. When you serve them, you step into a holy exchange where heaven meets earth. Archangel Michael declares that every act of service you release becomes a strike against despair. Darkness trembles not when we are you, but when we act. Do not underestimate the power of a meal. Do not dismiss the anointing in a visit. Do not think supporting someone in need is small. Heaven measures differently. One sandwich given with love can silence a spirit of hopelessness. One conversation can pull someone back from the edge. One act of generosity could rewrite a night that was meant to end in tears. God is not asking you to fix the world. He is asking you to respond to it. The anger you feel is the signal. The action you take is the solution. Archangel Michael urges you now, move before the fire turns into frustration. Because frustration is anger without obedience. But obedience turns anger into authority. Some of you are watching this, and your heart is pounding. That is confirmation. This message found you because you are ready. Not ready to talk. Not ready to post. Ready to do. The enemy fears believers who serve, because service dismantles lies. When you feed the hungry, the lie of abandonment breaks. When you visit the lonely, the lie of invisibility shatters. When you support those in need, the lie that God has forgotten them dies. Hear this clearly. You are not powerless. You are positioned. Archangel Michael is calling you into a higher expression of faith, one that walks, gives, listens, and shows up. This is how heaven advances quietly but powerfully. This is how your own wounds begin to close. Because as you pour out, God pours in. As you lift others, you are lifted. You not scroll away thinking this is for someone else. This is for the one who feels fire but has lacked direction. God is giving you direction now. Turn that divine anger into holy action. Let your faith put on flesh. Let your prayers grow legs. Let your compassion speak louder than your frustration. This is only the beginning of what God and Archangel Michael are revealing to you today. What comes next will open your eyes even more, because the reason you were chosen to feel this so deeply is about to become unmistakably clear. Chosen one, pause your heart for a moment and listen, because what is being revealed now goes deeper than emotion. It touches identity. God and Archangel Michael are not only calling you to act, they are explaining why you feel compelled to act when others remain unmoved. This is not personality. This is calling. There is a mantle on you that responds to pain with movement. Where others feel discomfort and turn away, your spirit leans forward. Heaven placed that response inside you on purpose. Archangel Michael is speaking with clarity now. He says many believers misunderstand divine anger because they were never taught how to steward it. When anger is ignored, it becomes bitterness. When anger is indulged, it becomes destruction. But when anger is offered back to God, it becomes fuel. Fuel for compassion. Fuel for justice. Fuel for sacrificial love. This is why every time you try to numb what you feel, peace escapes you. You were never meant to go numb. You were meant to go near. God is reminding you of moments you tried to look away but couldn't. Faces you still remember. Stories that stayed with you. Nights when you felt heavy without knowing why. Those were not weaknesses. Those were invitations. Heaven was training your eyes to see what others rush past. And now the training season is shifting into an action season. There is something supernatural that happens when you serve the hungry. It is not just food that is exchanged. Dignity is restored. Shame loosens its grip. When you sit with the lonely, it is not just company. It is confirmation that they still matter. When you support those in need, you become a living answer to prayers they whispered when no one else was listening. God says, I answer many prayers through hands like yours. Archangel Michael stands as protector, but also as mobilizer. He does not only fight battles in the heavens, he stirs obedience on the earth. He is urging you to understand that your service is warfare. Every act of compassion is a strike against despair. Every visit is a breach in isolation. Every gift is a declaration that darkness does not have the final word. Some of you have been waiting for permission to start small. Hear this clearly. Small obedience carries massive authority. You do not need a platform. You do not need recognition. You need availability. God is far more interested in consistency than visibility. A single meal served faithfully carries more weight in heaven than 1,000 good intentions left undone. This is why the enemy tries so hard to exhaust you emotionally, because tired servants hesitate. But Archangel Michael is renewing your strength right now. He is reminding you that you are not called to carry the world, only to carry your assignment. When you do what is in front of you, God multiplies it beyond what you can see. There is also healing waiting for you on the other side of obedience. Many of you are dealing with unspoken grief, frustration, or disappointment. God says, your healing is hidden inside your service. When you pour into others, the empty places inside you begin to fill with purpose. Joy returns quietly. Peace settles gently. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because life becomes meaningful. Do not let fear stop you. Fear of not doing enough. Fear of being judged. Fear of being taken advantage of. Heaven is watching your heart, not the outcome. Obedience is your responsibility. Results belong to God. Archangel Michael assures you that no act of love is ever wasted. Nothing given in obedience disappears. It is all recorded. Right now, as this message continues, Your spirit knows this is true. There is a stirring, a clarity forming. This is not emotional hype. This is alignment. And alignment requires response. God is inviting you to participate, not spectate. To move, not merely feel. To become an extension of His hands in a world aching for touch. If this message is awakening something inside you, this is the moment to engage. Let your agreement be visible. Like this message so it can reach others who need this awakening. Share it with someone whose heart has grown heavy from seeing too much pain. Comment with what stirred your spirit. Your words may unlock courage in someone else. Subscribe to stay connected, because these messages are meant to walk with you, not pass by you. And help spread this fire of obedience so more hearts are healed and more hope is restored. Hold on, because what is coming next will reveal why your timing matters right now, and why delaying obedience could cost more than you realize. Precious one, let your spirit lean in now, because this is where the message turns personal, urgent, and unmistakably divine. God and Archangel Michael are not speaking in generalities anymore. This is about your moment, your window, your now. There is a divine urgency surrounding you, not rooted in fear, but in opportunity. Heaven is saying that what you choose to do with this stirring will echo far beyond what you can currently imagine. Archangel Michael reveals that timing is everything in the spirit. Obedience delayed does not cancel assignment, but it weakens impact. There are people whose healing is connected to your movement. There are nights of loneliness, hunger, and despair that are meant to end because you chose to show up. This is not pressure. This is privilege. God does not entrust sensitive assignments to indifferent hearts. He chose you because you feel deeply, and because you are capable of acting faithfully. You may be wondering why this call feels heavier than before. It is because awareness has increased. Once God opens your eyes, neutrality is no longer an option. Silence becomes a choice. Stillness becomes a decision. And heaven is gently but firmly calling you forward. Archangel Michael says this is not about doing everything. It is about doing something, consistently, with love. There are doors opening quietly around you. Opportunities to serve that seem ordinary but are saturated with purpose. A chance conversation. A moment to give. An invitation to visit. These are not coincidences. They are divine setups. God is watching how you respond to the small nudges, because they lead to greater trust. Some of you feel unqualified. Others feel too broken to serve. But hear this clearly. God heals through the willing, not the perfect. Your scars do not disqualify you. They qualify you. They give you empathy. They give you patience. They give you credibility in places polished words never reach. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, reminding you that heaven's strength is perfected in surrendered weakness. As you serve, something remarkable happens. Your anger softens into compassion. Your frustration transforms into focus. Your restlessness becomes rhythm. Service does not drain you the way the world does. It aligns you. And alignment restores energy. This is why some of you feel more alive helping others than doing anything else. That is not coincidence. That is design. God is also addressing a hidden fear, the fear of being unseen. You have wondered if your obedience matters when no one applauds. Heaven responds clearly. I see everything. Every act of love is recorded. Every sacrifice is weighed. Every moment of obedience becomes seed. And seed always produces harvest, even if the ground looks silent at first. Archangel Michael declares that the acts you release now are building spiritual momentum. Momentum that will soon carry you into greater clarity, deeper peace, and unexpected provision. When you prioritize God's heart for people, God takes responsibility for your needs. This is a divine exchange that never fails. Right now, pause and recognize this truth. You are not late. You are right on time. The stirring you feel is confirmation that heaven is near. And heaven never comes without intention. What you do next matters. Type "I am a vessel of hope" in the comments if this message is resonating with your spirit. Lesson code 1441 has just been released over your obedience, your compassion, and your steps of faith. As God and Archangel Michael call people into movement, this mission also requires support to reach those who are searching, hurting, and hungry for truth. I feel led to say this directly to you. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel, you are sowing into souls. Your gift becomes seed that feeds the hungry, visits the lonely, and carries God's word into places light has not yet reached. Scripture comes alive here, saying, "I give seed to the sower." As you sow, God releases oil for the work and manna for the journey. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic act of obedience. Heaven is watching this moment, and obedience here opens doors elsewhere. I speak blessing over every giver, that your resources multiply, that your compassion returns to you pressed down and overflowing, and that your house becomes a well of provision for others. Act now. Release the seed. Join the mission. Let God use what is in your hand to heal hearts and restore hope. Faithful one, steady your spirit, because what unfolds now is a deeper unveiling of what happens after obedience begins. God and Archangel Michael want you to understand that service is not just an outward act. It is an inward transformation. Many people start with passion, but few understand the refinement that follows. This is where your calling matures, where your faith gains weight, and where your obedience becomes rooted instead of reactive. When you take the first steps toward serving others, you may expect immediate joy, instant confirmation, or visible results. Sometimes that happens. But often, what comes first is resistance. Not always external resistance, sometimes internal. Doubt whispers. Old wounds surface. Questions arise. Archangel Michael says this is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is proof you are entering sacred ground. Arctus does not contest what has no impact. God is teaching you endurance through compassion. Service stretches patience. It humbles pride. It exposes motive. And in that exposure, healing begins. You start to realize that you were never meant to be the savior, only the servant. That realization frees you from pressure and anchors you in grace. You stop striving for outcomes and start trusting God with process. There will be moments when the people you help do not respond with gratitude. Moments when your effort feels unnoticed. Moments when fatigue creeps in. This is where many step back. But Archangel Michael urges you to see beyond the surface. He reminds you that obedience is not sustained by applause. It is sustained by conviction. Heaven measures faithfulness, not feedback. God is also aggressing your expectations. Service is not always comfortable. Sometimes it confronts you with realities you would rather avoid. But avoidance never brings healing. Engagement does. As you stay present, something shifts. Compassion deepens. Judgment dissolves. Love becomes practical instead of theoretical. This is how your heart becomes more like God's. You may notice that as you serve, God begins to rearrange other areas of your life. Priorities realign. Desires change. This is not loss. This is pruning. Archangel Michael says pruning is proof of purpose. God only prunes what is meant to grow stronger. He removes distractions so focus can sharpen. He quiets noise so you can hear him more clearly. There is also a spiritual authority that begins to rest on you. Not loud authority, quiet authority. The kind that brings peace into chaotic spaces. The kind that makes people feel safe without knowing why. This authority does not come from titles or positions. It comes from consistent obedience. Heaven recognizes those who serve without needing to be seen. God wants you to know that your acts of service are creating ripples you cannot track. People you help today may help others tomorrow because of what you did. Hope multiplies quietly. Faith spreads organically. Archangel Michael assures you that no act of love ever stands alone. It always joins a larger story God is writing. You are also being prepared for greater responsibility. Small assignments train discernment. They teach you how to listen, when to speak, when to wait. As you prove faithful in simple acts, God entrusts you with deeper influence. This is how calling unfolds, step by step, not all at once. Some of you are learning to say no to distractions so you can say yes to purpose. Others are learning to rest without guilt, understanding that rest fuels service rather than replaces it. God is shaping balance in you. He is teaching you how to give without burning out, how to care without carrying what is not yours to carry. Archangel Michael stands guard over this process. He protects your heart from discouragement and your mind from confusion. He reminds you that you are not walking alone. Heaven is involved in every step, even when it feels quiet. Silence does not mean absence. Often, it means God is working beneath the surface. As this journey continues, your faith becomes less about feelings and more about faithfulness. You stop waiting to feel ready and start moving because God said so. That is maturity. That is strength. That is the kind of obedience that changes atmospheres. Hold this truth close. You were never called to be impressive. You were called to be available. And availability in God's hands becomes powerful beyond measure. What is unfolding in you now is preparation for what is coming next. A deeper revelation of purpose, clarity, and divine alignment that will make sense of everything you have walked through so far. Beloved soul, receive this gently but firmly, because God and Archangel Michael are now addressing the inner battles that surface once obedience becomes a lifestyle. When service is no longer an occasional act, but a steady rhythm, the enemy often shifts strategy. He no longer tries to stop you outright. Instead, he tries to distort your perspective. Heaven wants you to recognize this so you do not misinterpret what you are feeling. There may be moments when you suddenly question your effectiveness. You may wonder if what you are doing truly matters. You may compare yourself to others and feel small, unseen, or insignificant. God says this is not humility, it is distraction. Comparison is one of the quietest thieves of joy and momentum. Archangel Michael stands now to cut off that voice, reminding you that obedience is personal. Your assignment is not measured against another's calling. As you continue serving, you will notice that your sensitivity increases. You feel more deeply. You notice pain more quickly. This is not emotional weakness. It is spiritual refinement. God is sharpening your discernment. He is teaching you how to sense needs before they are spoken. But with sensitivity must come boundaries, or compassion can become overwhelmed. Heaven is training you to care deeply without carrying burdens that belong to God. There is a lesson unfolding here. You are a vessel, not a reservoir. You are meant to let love flow through you, not store it until you are empty. When you try to hold everything, exhaustion follows. When you release what you receive back to God, strength is renewed. Archangel Michael urges you to return to the source daily, not only to give, but to be filled. Some of you are learning that service also exposes hidden pride, not arrogance, but the subtle pride of thinking it is all up to you. God is lovingly dismantling that illusion. He is reminding you that He is the healer, the provider, the restorer. You are the messenger. You are the hands. This realization brings relief. You can serve freely when you stop trying to control outcomes. There will be times when your obedience brings unexpected challenges. Serving others may cost time, comfort, or convenience. This is where sacrifice refines love. God never wastes sacrifice. Every inconvenience offered in obedience becomes a seed that produces spiritual fruit. Archangel Michael says these moments are building endurance in you, the kind that does not quit when things get uncomfortable. You may also encounter resistance from people who do not understand your choices. They may question why you give so much, why you care so deeply, why you invest where there seems to be no return. God says you do not need to defend obedience to those who have not heard the same call. Silence, consistency, and peace will speak louder than explanations. As your service continues, something beautiful happens within you. Gratitude increases. Complaints decrease. Your perspective shifts. You begin to see blessings in places you once overlooked. This is the quiet miracle of obedience. It reorders your vision. You stop focusing on what is missing and start recognizing what is present. Contentment grows where restlessness once lived. Archangel Michael also highlights this truth. Service builds spiritual authority that prayer alone cannot. Prayer prepares the ground, but action plants the seed. When both work together, transformation accelerates. This is why the enemy fears believers who combine faith with movement. Such believers do not just speak truth, they embody it. God is also using this season to heal areas of your heart connected to disappointment. As you pour into others without expectation, God gently heals wounds caused by unmet expectations in your own life. You learn to love freely again, to give without fear, to trust without guarding every emotion. This is deep restoration happening quietly. Do not rush this process. Growth that lasts is never hurried. Heaven is patient with you, and you are learning to be patient with yourself. Mistakes do not disqualify you. Fatigue does not discredit you. God measures direction, not perfection. Each step forward matters. There is a steadiness forming in you now, a calm resolve, a deeper knowing that you are walking where you are meant to walk. Even when days feel ordinary, obedience is still active. Even when emotions are quiet, purpose is still unfolding. Archangel Michael assures you that consistency is building something far stronger than momentary passion. What God is shaping in you here will soon be required at a greater level. This foundation of humility, endurance, and compassion is preparing you for wider influence, not necessarily louder, but deeper. Influence that changes lives one encounter at a time. Stay attentive. Stay faithful. Stay grounded. Because the next revelation will help you recognize how God uses ordinary moments to release extraordinary breakthroughs, often when you least expect them. Anointed One, draw closer in your spirit, because God and Archangel Michael are now revealing a critical truth about momentum. Obedience is not meant to be sporadic, it is meant to become a flow. What you have started is not a phase, it is a pathway. And pathways require direction, discipline, and discernment. Heaven wants you to understand how to keep moving without losing clarity or burning out. When service becomes consistent, routine tries to dull its meaning. The enemy often whispers, "This is just normal now." But Archangel Michael corrects that lie immediately. Nothing done in obedience is ever ordinary. The same God who multiplied bread still multiplies faithfulness. Each act of service still carries heaven's attention, even when it feels familiar to you. God is teaching you how to serve with intention, not impulse. Impulse fades when emotion shifts. Intention remains steady even when feelings fluctuate. This is where maturity is forming. You are learning how to move because you are led, not because you are stirred emotionally. This protects you from extremes and anchors you in truth. There will be seasons when service feels light and seasons when it feels heavy. Do not misread the weight. Sometimes heaviness means depth, not danger. Archangel Michael says depth is where roots grow strong enough to sustain future fruit. Shallow faith cannot carry lasting impact. God is strengthening your inner life so your outer life does not collapse under responsibility. You may notice that God is simplifying certain areas of your life. This is intentional. Clutter, spiritual, emotional, or physical, makes obedience harder. Simplification makes space for clarity. Heaven is not taking things from you to punish you. God is clearing distractions so you can move with focus. Less noise allows you to hear divine direction more clearly. There is also an invitation here to refine your motives continually. Even good works can drift if the heart is not checked. God is not accusing you. He is protecting you. He wants your service to remain pure, joyful, and life-giving. When you sense weariness, return to Him. Let Him realign your why before you continue your what. Archangel Michael emphasizes that obedience must be fueled by intimacy, not obligation. Obligation produces resentment. Intimacy produces willingness. This is why God keeps calling you back to stillness, prayer, and quiet moments. These are not interruptions to service. They are the source of it. Without them, action becomes empty. You are also learning discernment about where and how to serve. Not every need is yours to meet. Not every request is an assignment. Wisdom grows as you listen more closely. God directs your steps so your energy is invested where it will bear the most fruit. Saying no at times is not disobedience, it is stewardship. As this rhythm develops, confidence replaces uncertainty. Not loud confidence, but settled assurance. You no longer need constant validation because you trust God's leading. You begin to recognize His voice more clearly, in nudges, interruptions, and quiet convictions. Archangel Michael confirms that discernment sharpens with use. God also wants you to know that your obedience is influencing others more than you realize. People are watching how you live, how you give, how you show up. Even when they say nothing, seeds are being planted. Your consistency preaches louder than words. Heaven often uses quiet faith to spark visible change. Now hear this carefully. The mission you are part of does not grow in isolation. God uses community, agreement, and shared vision. If this message has been strengthening you, help it reach others who are still searching for direction. Like this message so it can move beyond this moment. Share it with someone who feels the same holy tension you once felt. Comment with your insight or testimony. Your words may unlock courage in someone else. Subscribe and stay connected, because what God is unfolding here is a journey, not a single encounter. And before your attention drifts, stay with this message a little longer, because what comes next will reveal how God turns quiet obedience into visible breakthrough, often in ways you never planned or expected. Steadfast heart, remain attentive, because God and Archangel Michael are now unveiling how obedience matures into influence. This is the stage many never reach, not because they are unwilling, but because they underestimate the power of consistency. What you have been doing quietly, faithfully, and often without recognition, is now forming a spiritual weight around you. Heaven calls this weight trust. Trust is not given quickly. God watches patterns, not promises. He observes how you respond when no one is affirming you, when results are slow, when enthusiasm fades. Archangel Michael says this is where heaven decides how much influence can safely rest on a person. Influence without character collapses. Influence rooted in obedience endures. You may have noticed that people are drawn to you differently now. Some seek advice. Others open up unexpectedly. A few feel challenged by your presence without knowing why. This is not because you are trying harder. It is because your life is becoming congruent. Your words, actions, and values are aligning. Alignment creates authority, and authority creates impact. God is also teaching you restraint. In earlier seasons, you may have felt the urge to explain yourself, to defend your intentions, to prove your sincerity. That urgency is fading. You are learning that truth does not require constant explanation. Consistent obedience answers questions better than arguments ever could. Archangel Michael affirms that silence paired with faithfulness confuses the enemy more than confrontation. There is also a refinement happening in how you see people. Service has stripped away many assumptions. You now recognize complexity where you once saw labels. You understand that pain wears many masks. This deeper compassion is not weakness, it is wisdom. God trusts those who can see beyond behavior into brokenness. As this compassion grows, discernment grows alongside it. You are not naive. You are aware. You are learning when to step in and when to step back, when to speak and when to simply listen. This balance is rare, and heaven values it deeply. Archangel Michael notes that such balance is essential for long-term impact. God wants you to understand that influence does not always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like depth. One transformed life can matter more than a crowd impressed. The world celebrates numbers, but heaven celebrates faithfulness. What you do consistently in obscurity often carries more eternal weight than what is done once in the spotlight. You may be tempted to rush ahead, to ask God for bigger opportunities, broader reach, clearer outcomes. God hears those desires, but He is also protecting you. He knows exactly when you are ready for more. Preparation is not punishment, it is mercy. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing meant for you will arrive late. There are also unseen battles being fought on your behalf. As your obedience increases, resistance sometimes intensifies, not to stop you but to test your resolve. Do not be alarmed by this. Opposition often confirms significance. Darkness reacts when light becomes consistent. But heaven is not anxious. God has already accounted for every challenge you will face. This season is teaching you how to remain steady regardless of circumstances. When things go well, you remain humble. When things feel slow, you remain faithful. This steadiness is rare, and it is powerful. God can build on steady hearts. Archangel Michael calls this quality anchored faith. You are also discovering that joy no longer depends on outcomes. Joy is emerging from obedience itself. There is peace in knowing you are where you are meant to be, doing what you are meant to do, even when the road ahead is not fully visible. But peace is not accidental. It is a reward. God is shaping you into someone who can carry hope without becoming overwhelmed by despair. You can step into heavy spaces and not lose your light. You can listen to painful stories without hardening your heart. This resilience is spiritual strength, forged through surrendered service. Do not underestimate how far you have come. Growth often feels slow from the inside, but heaven sees clearly. Archangel Michael bears witness that what once strained you now strengthens you. What once confused you now clarifies you. This is evidence of transformation. As you continue, remain teachable. Remain humble. Remain open. God still has more to reveal, more to entrust, more to release through you. The foundation you are building now will support future assignments that require both compassion and courage. What is coming next will help you recognize how God uses moments of stillness and waiting to prepare sudden shifts that bring restoration not only to others, but to areas of your own life you thought would never change. Beloved of God, remain still in your spirit for a moment, because what is unfolding now is subtle, sacred, and deeply powerful. God and Archangel Michael are speaking about the hidden season, the waiting that happens after obedience but before visible reward. This is the space where many grow weary, yet it is also where the deepest preparation occurs. Heaven wants you to understand this season so you do not mislabel it as delay or silence. Waiting does not mean nothing is happening. Waiting means alignment is completed. While you continue to serve, give, visit, and support others, God is also working quietly on your behalf. He is rearranging connections, softening hearts, and opening pathways you cannot yet see. Archangel Michael assures you that what feels still on the surface is active in the spirit. This season requires trust without evidence, faith without applause, obedience without explanation, and that is why it refines you so deeply. God is teaching you to rely on His character, not His timing as you perceive it. When you stop demanding signs and start resting in assurance, peace deepens. That peace is not passive, it is powerful. Some of you have been tempted to question whether your service is still effective because results are not immediate. God gently corrects that thought. Many breakthroughs are cumulative. One act alone may not seem to change much, but together they build momentum. Archangel Michael says heaven counts patterns, not moments. Your consistency is speaking louder than you realize. There is also healing happening during is waiting. Areas of your heart that once rushed for affirmation are learning contentment. Winds caused by being overlooked are closing. God is teaching you how to feel secure without constant reassurance. This security becomes a shield in future seasons when influence increases. You may notice that God is drawing you into quieter obedience. Less urgency, more clarity, less striving, more trust. This is intentional. He's stabilizing your inner world so external changes do not shake you. Archangel Michael calls this spiritual grounding. Without it, growth would be unsustainable. Waiting also reveals motive. It asks hard questions. Would you still serve if nothing changed outwardly? Would you still give if no one noticed? God already knows your heart, but this season allows you to know it too. And what you are discovering is faithfulness, not for reward, but for love. Heaven wants you to hear this clearly. Your obedience has already altered outcomes you may never witness directly. There are people who chose to live another day because someone like you showed up. There are prayers that shifted direction because you listened and acted. Eternity will reveal what time cannot. Archangel Michael stands now as witness, declaring that you are being trusted with more because you have been faithful with less. Not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. This trust will soon manifest as clarity, opportunity, and peace that feels earned yet undeserved. Remain patient. Remain obedient. Remain grounded. Because waiting seasons do not last forever, but what they produce does. The roots forming now will support fruit later that does not wither under pressure. Type I stand firm in faith in the comments if this message confirms what God is doing in you. Blessing code 2288 has just been released over your patience, your obedience, and your unseen sacrifices. And now, as this sacred moment settles, hear this invitation flowing directly from the heart of God. I am speaking to you personally. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are placing bread into the hands of the hungry and light into places wrapped in darkness. Your giving becomes seed scattered into ready soil, and heaven promises harvest. God declares, I multiply what is placed in my hands. This act is not financial, it is prophetic. It is obedience responding to alignment. As you give, oil is released for the work, fire is sustained for the mission, and rivers of provision are unlocked for your household. I speak blessing over every supporter, that lack breaks, that generosity returns multiplied, and that your obedience becomes a testimony. Do not hesitate. Act now. Release the seed. Stand with this work, and let God use what you sow to heal hearts and restore hope across the earth. Gentle warrior of faith, stay present, because God and Archangel Michael are now revealing what happens after waiting has done its work. This is the transition many do not recognize until they are already standing in it. Quietly, without announcement, something shifts. The season does not change with noise but with awareness. Suddenly, what once felt heavy feels purposeful. What once felt delayed feels precise. God is showing you that waiting was not meant to pause your life. It was meant to prepare your perception. You are now seeing differently. You notice divine timing instead of missed opportunities. You recognize protection where you once assumed denial. This is wisdom that can only be learned through patience. Archangel Michael affirms that this shift in sight is proof that you are ready for the next movement. Movement does not always mean doing more. Often, it means doing with clarity. You are no longer scattered. Your compassion is focused. Your service is intentional. You know when to step forward and when to remain still. This discernment is a gift forged in obedience. God trusts those who know how to move without rushing. There is also a strengthening of your inner voice. You are less dependent on external confirmation. You recognize God's leading with confidence that feels calm, not urgent. Archangel Michael says this is spiritual adulthood. You no longer need constant reassurance because trust has been built through experience. You may notice that opportunities now come to you differently. Instead of chasing needs begin to find you. People open doors. Conversations shift unexpectedly. Invitations arise naturally. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. When your heart aligns with God's heart, positioning happens without striving. God is also teaching you how to steward increase, whether that increase is responsibility, influence, or provision. Increase without wisdom becomes burden, but increase with discernment becomes blessing. Heaven has been patient with you because God values sustainability more than speed. What is unfolding now is meant to last. Some of you are stepping into roles you never imagined. Quiet roles, but meaningful ones. Being the consistent presence, the reliable helper, the one people trust in moments of need. This kind of role may not be celebrated publicly, but it is deeply honored in heaven. Archangel Michael says angels recognize faithfulness even when humans overlook it. There is also a deeper peace settling in you. Not the peace that comes from everything going right, but the peace that comes from knowing you are right where you belong. This peace guards you against comparison, impatience, and fear of missing out. You no longer measure your life against others because you understand your journey is unique. God is reminding you that obedience is cumulative. Each yes you have given has built toward this moment. Even the days that felt unproductive were shaping resilience. Even the moments of doubt refined your dependence on God. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Archangel Michael now speaks about endurance. Endurance is not about surviving hardship. It is about remaining faithful when things become steady. Many can push through crisis, but few remain consistent in calm seasons. You are learning to do both. This balance is rare, and it is powerful. You may also feel a renewed compassion rising, not fueled by urgency, but by understanding. You have walked long enough to know that transformation takes time. This patience allows you to walk with others without frustration. You no longer demand immediate change. You offer presence instead. This presence heals more than pressure ever could. God is also restoring joy in simple obedience. You find fulfillment in small acts again. A conversation, a visit, a meal shared. These moments no longer feel insignificant. You recognize them as sacred. Archangel Michael says this awareness keeps your heart soft even as your faith grows strong. As your life stabilizes in this rhythm, God prepares you for moments of acceleration. Acceleration does not come to those who rush. It comes to those who are ready. And readiness looks like humility, discernment, and faithfulness. You are developing all three. Do not be surprised if old fears attempt to resurface. Sometimes the mind revisits past insecurities when stepping into new territory. But you are not who you were. You have grown. You have learned. You have endured. God's track record in your life speaks louder than any lingering doubt. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that heaven is not finished with you. What you see now is not the destination. It is preparation for deeper trust and broader impact. The foundation laid through service, waiting, and obedience will support what comes next without collapse. Stay attentive. Stay grounded. Stay responsive. Because the next revelation will show you how God invites you to partner with Him at an even deeper level, where obedience becomes collaboration and service becomes legacy. My dear child of purpose, stay with this moment, because God and Archangel Michael are now drawing your attention to a powerful shift, from obedience as response to obedience as partnership. This is a sacred transition. You are no longer only reacting to what God highlights, you are beginning to move in rhythm with His heart. This is where faith deepens into cooperation, and service evolves into shared intention. In earlier seasons, God nudged you, and you responded. Now, you are sensing His direction before the nudge even comes. This is not imagination. This is intimacy. When a heart stays close to God through consistent obedience, alignment sharpens. You begin to recognize His priorities more clearly. What once surprised you now feels familiar. What once confused you now feels guided. Archangel Michael speaks of this as strategic obedience. Not rushed, not forced, but deliberate and discerning. You are learning how to anticipate where compassion is needed, where your presence will matter most, and where restraint is wiser than action. This level of discernment protects you from burnout and preserves your joy. God is also teaching you how to carry responsibility without heaviness. Earlier, responsibility may have felt overwhelming because you were still learning boundaries. Now, you understand that partnership means shared weight. You do your part, and God does what only He can do. This understanding brings rest even in active seasons. There is a maturity forming in how you approach people. You are less reactive, more responsive. You listen longer. You speak with intention. You move without needing recognition. This maturity is attractive to heaven. Archangel Michael affirms that angels are often assigned where humility and consistency meet, because such ground is safe for divine activity. You may notice that God is giving you clearer insight into systemic needs, not just individual moments. You see patterns. You understand root causes. This does not mean you are meant to fix everything. It means you are meant to intercede wisely and act intentionally. Wisdom is now guiding compassion. With this clarity comes a new test: faithfulness in visibility. As influence grows, attention may increase. People may notice your consistency. Some may affirm you. Others may misunderstand you. God is reminding you to anchor yourself not in response, but in relationship. Applause can distract just as easily as criticism. Your focus must remain steady. Archangel Michael warns gently against drifting into performance. When service becomes something to maintain an image, its power fades. But when service remains an offering, its impact multiplies. God is protecting your heart by reminding you why you started: love, obedience, and alignment. This season may also invite you to mentor or encourage others who are just beginning their journey of service. Not by instruction alone, but by example. Your life has become a quiet testimony. You show others that faith is lived, not just spoken. This influence is subtle but far-reaching. God is also deepening your understanding of sacrifice. Sacrifice now looks less like loss and more like investment. You give knowing that what you release is multiplied in ways you may never track. This confidence allows generosity to flow freely, without fear of lack. There is a strengthening of courage within you. You are less afraid of discomfort, less hesitant to step into unfamiliar spaces. This courage is not reckless, it is rooted. It comes from knowing that God goes before you and stands with you. Archangel Michael declares that courage anchored in obedience cannot be shaken by uncertainty. As this message continues, take a moment to recognize how far you have come. The restlessness that once confused you has been refined into purpose. The anger that once felt heavy has been redirected into healing action. This transformation did not happen overnight. It happened through countless small yeses. If this journey had been meaningful to you, do not let it stop here. Engage with this message so it can continue reaching others who are standing where you once stood. Like it so the signal goes further. Share it with someone who is wrestling with the same inner fire. Comment with what God has been showing you. Your insight may unlock clarity for another soul. Subscribe and stay connected, because what God is unfolding now is not complete yet. Remain here a little longer. The next revelation will uncover how obedience lived over time becomes legacy, shaping lives beyond your own, and extending further than you ever planned or expected. Beloved bearer of light, remain steady in your spirit, because God and Archangel Michael are now speaking about something far larger than the present moment. They are revealing the nature of legacy, not the kind written in names or recognition, but the kind written in lives quietly chained. This is where obedience stretches beyond your own timeline and begins to touch generations you may never meet. Legacy is formed when faith becomes consistent enough to outlive emotion. You are no longer driven by urgency alone, but by conviction. God is showing you that what you model daily teaches others how to live faithfully when no one is watching. Your life is becoming a living message, one that speaks even when you are silent. Archangel Michael explains that heaven measures legacy differently than the world. The world counts achievements, heaven counts alignment. The world looks for visibility, heaven looks for faithfulness. The seeds you have sown through service, patience, and compassion are taking root in ways you cannot yet fully perceive. But they are growing. You may never know all the outcomes of your obedience. You may not see how one act of kindness altered the course of someone's life, or how one moment of presence kept someone from giving up. But God sees it all, and what God sees, He remembers. Nothing offered in love is ever lost. There is also a deepening humility that accompanies legacy. You are learning to release control over results. You no longer need to manage outcomes to feel secure. Trust has matured. You trust God not only with what you do, but with what follows after you have done it. His surrender is powerful. God is also revealing that legacy often begins in unseen spaces. Homes, conversations, ordinary days. Faith lived consistently in these places shapes hearts more deeply than public moments ever could. Archangel Michael affirms that some of the most impactful work you do will never be broadcast, but it will be recorded in heaven. You are becoming someone others feel safe around. Safe to be honest. Safe to be imperfect. Safe to heal. This safety is not accidental. It comes from a life that has learned compassion through obedience and patience. People sense when love is genuine, when it is not rushed or transactional. This authenticity is rare, and it is valuable. God is also teaching you how to hold hope without illusion. You do not deny pain, but you refuse to surrender to despair. This balance allows you to walk with others through difficulty without minimizing their experience or losing your own footing. Archangel Michael calls this resilient hope. As legacy forms, God often asks for deeper trust. He may invite you to let go of familiar roles, familiar rhythms, or familiar expectations. This is not loss. It is transition. Legacy requires flexibility. It requires willingness to follow God even when the path changes shape. You are learning to move with Him, not ahead of Him. You may notice a growing desire to see others rise, even if it means stepping back. This is not diminishing, it is multiplication. When you celebrate others' growth, you extend your impact. God delights in this posture. Heaven moves quickly through hearts that are not threatened by shared success. There is also a quiet authority settling into you. Not the authority that demands attention, but the authority that carries weight because it is grounded in truth. When you speak now, your words land differently. When you act, your actions resonate. This is the fruit of long obedience. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that legacy is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is built through repentance when needed, humility when corrected, and faithfulness when unseen. You have practiced all three. That is why heaven is entrusting you with more influence, even if it does not look dramatic from the outside. God is also reminding you that legacy includes rest. You are not meant to exhaust yourself proving devotion. Sustainable obedience honors God more than frantic effort. You are learning when to pause, when to receive, and when to simply be present. This balance ensures that what you build lasts. As this season unfolds, you may feel both fulfillment and anticipation. Fulfillment because you recognize growth. Anticipation because you sense there is still more ahead. Both are valid. God is not finished. What He has begun, you will continue to shape with care and precision. Hold on to this truth. Your life is already speaking. Your choices are already teaching. Your obedience is already echoing beyond you. And what God is preparing to reveal next will bring everything together: purpose, obedience, service, and legacy, into a final clarity that confirms why this journey mattered so deeply. Remain attentive. Remain humble. Remain open. Because what comes next is not just instruction, it is confirmation. My beloved child, receive this final confirmation with reverence, because God and Archangel Michael are now sealing what has been spoken over you from the very beginning. This is not a conclusion. It is a commissioning. Everything you have felt, wrestled with, obeyed, waded through, and serve into has been leading to this moment of clarity. Heaven is affirming that your obedience was never wasted, your service was never small, and your journey was never misunderstood by God. Archangel Michael stands now as witness and protector, declaring that the divine anger you once carried has been fully transformed. It no longer burns chaotically. It burns with purpose. What once felt like frustration has become fire for restoration. What once felt like restlessness has become readiness. This is the mark of alignment. God is reminding you that He never called you to escape the world's pain, but to move through it as a bearer of light. You were shaped to respond, not retreat. And because you chose action over apathy, compassion over comfort, obedience over delay, heaven has marked your steps. You are now walking in a grace that did not exist before this journey began. There is a release happening now. Release from guilt about not doing enough. Release from fear of missing your calling. Release from the pressure to prove your faith. God says, "You have walked faithfully with what I placed in your hands. That is enough." From this place of peace, future obedience will flow naturally, not forcefully. Archangel Michael speaks assurance over you. He says the seeds you planted through feeding the hungry, visiting the lonely, supporting the weak, and showing up quietly have already entered harvest cycles you cannot yet see. Some fruit will appear soon. Some will appear years from now. Some will only be revealed in eternity. But none of it is lost. God is also closing a chapter of striving. You no longer need to search desperately for purpose. Purpose has been living through you. Your life itself has become the message. The way you love, serve, give, and remain faithful now speaks louder than anything you could announce. As this commission settles, God is inviting you into continued obedience, not as pressure, but as privilege. You will still serve. You will still give. You will still respond. But now you do so from rest, not urgency. From confidence, not confusion. From alignment, not anxiety. Hear this clearly. You are trusted. Trusted to carry compassion without collapsing. Trusted to act without ego. Trusted to love without condition. Heaven does not give such trust lightly. Archangel Michael confirms that you have proven faithful in both hidden and visible seasons. There may still be challenges ahead. There may still be moments of fatigue. But you are no longer walking blindly. You understand the rhythm. You know where to return when strength runs low. You know how to listen, how to wait, and how to move. This wisdom will sustain you. And now, as this message seals, make a prophetic declaration of agreement. Type "I walk in divine obedience" in the comments if you receive this confirmation. Blessing code 9099 is now activated over your service, your provision, your household, and your future steps. And hear this final instruction flowing seamlessly from the heart of God. I am speaking to you directly now. This mission, to turn divine stirring into real-world healing, continues through obedience and through provision. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding content. You are fueling compassion in motion. You are placing bread into the hands of the hungry, presence into the lives of the lonely, and light into places overshadowed by despair. God declares, those who water others will themselves be watered. This act is not optional. It is prophetic. It is obedience meeting opportunity. As you give, I speak blessing over your finances, clarity over your decisions, and peace over your household. May your generosity return to you as open doors, restored joy, and supernatural provision. Act now. Release the seed. Stand with this work. and let God continue to heal hearts and restore hope through what flows from your hands.